The bell above the door jingled softly as it swung open, letting in a rush of cold air and the faint scent of rain-soaked pavement. Inside the tiny convenience store, the fluorescent lights flickered weakly, casting a pale glow over shelves stocked with off-brand cereal, dusty canned goods, and racks of lottery tickets that no one ever seemed to win. Behind the counter stood Maria, her tired hands resting on the register. She'd worked here for nearly a decade. Morning shifts, night shifts, holidays. It wasn't glamorous, but it helped keep the lights on at home and put food on the table for her 2 kids. Maria barely glanced up at first, expecting just another customer stopping by for cigarettes or an energy drink. But as the figure stepped fully into the store, she noticed something different. The man who entered didn't look like the usual customers. His hoodie was stained, his jeans frayed at the bottom, his shoes barely holding together. His hair stuck out from beneath a worn beanie, unkempt and messy, and he carried a beat-up backpack that looked like it had been through years of hard miles. For a brief second, Maria's heart tensed, a reflex from years of working the counter alone. Late nights had taught her that desperation sometimes came through the door, wearing innocent faces. But then he looked up. His eyes weren't threatening. They were tired, sure, but kind, almost shy. He offered her a quick, awkward smile and shuffled toward the shelves, his movements slow and deliberate, like every step was part of some internal debate. Maria sighed softly. Another person down on their luck, she thought. But unlike some store clerks who might have immediately told him to leave, Maria just watched him silently, giving him space. She knew what it was like to feel judged the second you walked into a room. The man wandered toward the snack aisle, picking up a granola bar, studying it for a long moment like it was a luxury purchase. Then, after a minute, he grabbed a small bottle of water and headed toward the counter. Maria straightened up, ready to ring him up. She had no idea that this customer wasn't just any customer, and within minutes, her life would change forever. The man placed the granola bar and the water bottle on the counter. Maria punched the items into the ancient cash register, the buttons sticking slightly under her fingers. "That'll be $2.89, she said softly, careful not to sound too brisk. The man dug into his pocket, pulling out a small handful of coins, quarters, nickels, pennies, a crumpled dollar bill. His hands shook slightly as he counted, and Maria could see the dirt under his nails, the kind that doesn't wash out after just one bad day. When he finished, there was $1.72 sitting on the counter. Maria glanced at the total, then at the man, her heart sinking just a little. She knew the look in his eyes, the quiet humiliation of someone who's been short before, the kind of person who already expects to be told to put something back or leave empty-handed. "Don't worry about it," Maria said softly, reaching into her own tip jar beside the register. She pulled out a few bills and coins, adding just enough to cover the total. The man's eyes flicked up, surprised. "You don't have to do that," he said, voice low. Maria waved a hand. "It's just a couple bucks, and you gotta eat, right?" The man paused, like he wasn't sure how to respond. Then he gave her a small, grateful smile. "Thank you," he said quietly. Maria bagged up the snack and water, sliding it across the counter. "You okay out there?" she asked gently. "Need anything else? I could heat up one of the sandwiches in the back if you're hungry." The man shook his head. "This is more than enough." But Maria could see the exhaustion in his posture, the way he carried himself like the world had been too heavy for too long. She didn't know who he was, didn't know this was a test, a hidden camera experiment designed to see how people treat someone when they think no one important is watching. And in that moment, Maria had passed, not because she expected anything in return, but because kindness was who she was. As Maria slid the plastic bag across the counter, she offered the man a final smile, the kind you give when you know you may never see someone again, but you still want to leave them with a bit of warmth. But before the man could take the bag and leave, the door of the store swung open fast, the bell jangling wildly. Maria's heart jumped. What now? In came a group of people, cameras in hand, big mics attached to rigs, and one of them had a familiar face. Wait, what is happening? Maria blinked, confused. The man in the hoodie, still standing right in front of her, reached up and pulled off his beanie, shaking out his hair. He straightened up, the slouched posture suddenly gone. And that tired face Maria had seen just moments ago. Now it was beaming, wide smile stretching across it. That's when it hit her. It was MrBeast. Maria's mouth fell open, her hand flying to her chest. Oh my God, no way! Customers in the store who had been half watching the quiet exchange now gasped. One teenage boy near the candy aisle yelled, "That's MrBeast," and whipped out his phone to record. Maria's head spun, her mind struggling to catch up. You're not homeless?" she stammered. MrBeast laughed, shaking his head. "Nope, but you treated me with kindness anyway, and that's exactly why we're here." Maria blinked hard, trying to process this surreal moment. I don't understand." MrBeast took a step back, raising his arms theatrically. "Maria, because you showed compassion, because you helped someone when you thought no one was watching." He stepped aside, and one of his crew members brought in something huge, a massive cardboard check, almost as wide as the counter itself. It read, $100,000. Maria's knees buckled slightly, her hand flying to her mouth. No, she whispered, tears already pooling in her eyes. "Yes," MrBeast grinned. "This is all yours." Maria's legs gave out completely, and she collapsed behind the counter, laughing and crying at the same time. Customers applauded, some cheering, some wiping their own eyes. "You deserve this," MrBeast said, kneeling beside her to make sure she was okay. "Because the world needs more people like you." Maria's hands trembled as she wiped her tears with the edge of her apron. Her whole body shook with the kind of disbelief that only comes when life decides to throw a miracle in your lap. MrBeast gently helped her up, the giant check still propped against the counter, like it belonged in a dream. I don't even know what to say," Maria stammered, her voice cracking under the weight of the moment. This can't be real." "Oh, it's real," MrBeast grinned. "Every single penny. And there's no catch. This is your reward for being a genuinely good human being." By now, customers were gathered around, clapping, cheering, some even recording the whole thing for TikTok. Maria wiped her face again, laughing through her tears. He looked hungry. I wasn't going to let someone go without food if I could help." MrBeast's smile softened. "Exactly. That's why you're the kind of person who deserves this." Suddenly, Maria grabbed her phone from under the counter, her hands still shaking as she dialed. "I have to tell my kids," she said breathlessly. The phone rang twice before her oldest son answered. "Mom, everything okay?" Maria's voice was all over the place. Laughter, tears, excitement, disbelief. "Mijo, you're not going to believe this." She flipped the camera to show the $100,000 check, the whole store erupting in applause again. Her son's voice cracked. "Wait, what?" "I can pay off the house," Maria cried. "We can fix the roof, and we're getting your sister her braces." The line went silent for a second before Maria heard sniffling on the other end. "Mom, this is crazy." MrBeast leaned into the phone camera, waving. "Hey guys, hope you're proud of your mom. She's a legend." Maria's family started shouting through the phone, disbelief turning into joy. One by one, every person in the store lined up to hug Maria or shake her hand, all of them witnessing proof that sometimes the smallest act of kindness can trigger a life-changing moment. Before MrBeast left, he gave Maria one last hug and said, "I know you're going to use this money to take care of your family, but don't forget to treat yourself too." Maria nodded, still overwhelmed. "I will. Thank you. Thank you so much." As the crew packed up their cameras and the door swung shut behind them, Maria stood there, still clutching the check, unable to stop smiling. And from that day on, every time someone walked into her store, Maria remembered what MrBeast said. You never know whose life you might change with just a little kindness.